All right.
All right.
And we in there, baby. We live, baby. Back here for some extra credit, some extracurriculars.
Extracurricular activities.
We were a little long-winded with the last show, and I didn't want to compress everything into like 8 minutes. Wanted to be able to really break down and give these gentlemen that we're going to be talking about the legit credit that they deserve. I do think that some people are off this list that need to be on it, but we don't control this. We're just predicting what's already out there.
Yeah.
NBA awards, it's that time. Shout out to Marcus Smart, being a defensive player of the year, which is someone we do not have to talk about. But gonna give him his just due because what was it? 96 was the last.
Yes.
The last guard, GP, Gary Payton.
Point guard, yeah. Mm-hmm.
The last guard to win Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
So shouts out to him. I do think George Burt make a really good case about why he should and why more guards should get. Although me and you, we kind of agree, but differ from what she said. We don't think he's the best perimeter defender.
Right. He's one of them. Don't get me wrong, though.
But I think he's the best. So, but shouts out to him. But we're going to jump straight into it. So I like to wait and give the best, save the best for last. So off rip, we going to jump into the Rookie of the Year.
Okay.
Who is your – well, Scotty – well, I'm going to say the finalist, and then you're going to give your person and why you think they should win. So the key NBA Rookie of the Year, Scotty Barnes, Kade Cunningham, as well as Evan Mobley. Who is your Rookie of the Year?
Okay, so we briefly touched base on this prior to our show or prior to this segment, excuse me. And my Rookie of the Year is Kade Cunningham. Kade Cunningham, the point guard of the Detroit Pistons. He averaged 17 points per game. He didn't shoot the most efficient field goal percentage for the season, 40% or from three. But he did average close to 6 assists per game. And he was a rebounder, 6'8", 6'9". And I believe that he's my Rookie of the Year. I picked him as my choice because I'm looking at what he had to endure coming back from injury, right? And leading the Detroit Pistons team at the most important and the hardest position to learn at the NBA level, which is the point guard position. Now, I don't always pick the point guard to win the Rookie of the Year, Ralph, but I've always said, even when Lonzo was coming in, there can be a learning curve from jump from the collegiate level to the NBA level. And he was tasked with more responsibilities than a guy like Evan Mobley, who played with a Darius Garland, who played with the veteran leadership of Kevin Love at the same position that could give him mentorship. And then you had who's the other guy on the Cavs team? The name is
Jared Allen.
Jared Allen, obviously him, and et cetera. And so you look at defensively, not knocking Evan Mobley's skills, but I just think that the adversity that Kade Cunningham had to face was a lot greater. We knew coming in that his jump shot was something that wasn't that great. But hey, LeBron James did not have a jump shot to speak of really when he came in and he won the Rookie of the Year. Now Melo should have won that award, but that's another conversation for another day because Melo took his team out of the dungeon and they both had the same record prior to their rookie seasons. And Melo won he didn't win 58 games. He won a game versus a 58 win Minnesota Timberwolves with the MVP Kevin Garnett back in 03-04 in the playoffs. So as an AC. So yeah. But I got Kade Cunningham. I think that he's deserving. He came on strong late, or not even this late, for about, I would say, like 80% of the season. And he played with less. So he's my pick for Rookie of the Year.
I'm not going to spend too much time on it because I completely agree with you, man. I think that too often we start looking and talking about when it comes to individual awards, we start looking at the first thing that people start talking about are team things. So unless you come in and you do like a Melo where you pretty much have the same team, but you just added a specific player and then you see go from here to here,
Right.
That's like, all right, I'll give him some credit. But then when you have some pieces that they got off of the like a Rondo, a Lauri Markkanen, and then as well as an Evan Mobley, it's hard to say, is this one person the reason why? And then when you go and you add Jared Allen at midseason when you were already so bad, now at this point, I can't really say that he should be at this spot over this player when you have two All-Stars on your team.
He was a role player essentially, and a good role player.
A very good role player who could possibly end up being a star, if not a superstar. So then when you go to Scotty Barnes, come in with a pretty much most of the key players outside, most of the role players still there. You still have that veteran. You still got a Pascal Siakam. You still got a Fred VanVleet. You still got Nurse is the coach.
Yeah.
OG Anunoby, as well as insert a young, athletic, talented player like Scotty Barnes, is not to take anything away from him.
Yeah, Scotty's nice.
Someone else. And so at that point, it's like, he did average 15, almost 8 rebounds and almost 4 assists, but then you have so much more talent on your team to where we're not game planning for Scotty Brooks.
Right.
Yeah, we're not game planning for Scotty Barnes. It's not the first person we're trying to take the ball out of their hands when it comes to defeating this team. Then when it comes to a Kade Cunningham, he put up 17, 6, and 6. If you what is it?
Estimate. Yeah, 17, 6, and 6.
Yeah, if you estimate to the next one, you go up 17, 6, and 6.
Yeah.
So at that point, with the hype that he had, that's a pretty good rookie season. That's a really good rookie season. Now, if you want to go and you talk about player efficiency rating, was he the most efficient? No, but who else on his team? And so I'm not going to fault him for the talent around him. I do think that Kade Cunningham deserves the Rookie of the Year. And so I agree with you. I'm a little long-winded on that, but I agree with you on that. Next up, we got the Sixth Man of the Year. Cam Johnson and Kevin Love. And based on the 3 people, I don't think it's close. Maybe if you weren't to look at their stats, if you look at impact on the team, maybe you can see maybe a Cam Johnson.
All right.
But I'm certainly not throwing Kevin Love in there because I watched the games and he's not who I see as I don't think he deserves the Sixth Man of the Year award. So for me, if you say anything outside of Tyler Hero, especially with the numbers,
blasphemy.
That he was and I feel like you're hating.
Yeah, blasphemy.
He averaged 21 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists on 45% shooting. So for me, I think I'd actually had a clue that he was balling like that this year. I kept hearing about it, but I had this one homie that when Le'Veon Bell was in his prime, I was trying to tell him how nice Le'Veon was. And he was like, bro, I just don't see it. He's like, I'll see his stats from one game, but the game that I get to sit and watch, I don't see this. Right. And so I kind of put it to one of those where, like, Tyler Hero, I see the stats one game, and then I watch a game, and I'm just like, I'm not impressed. And so, but numbers alone, as well as how good his team did, obviously his numbers had something to do with it. I'm going to go Tyler Hero. I
believe that I'm in agreement with you in terms of Tyler Hero being the selection here as the Sixth Man of the Year. Mainly, he had a bounce back season from last year, and so I think that also feeds into that narrative. But he did what he was supposed to do. He lived up to the contract that he was provided and given. And also, we have to look at it from what is the sixth man's responsibility. The sixth man's sole responsibility is to come off the bench, right, and provide a scoring punch to the team. And so Miami, they're known as a high defensive efficiency team, a team that's going to lock you up and clamp you up. But they don't have that many guys that can create their own shot. They don't have many guys that can give you instant offense. He can come off screens. He can shoot the 3 ball. He's a hard-nosed individual basketball player. He fights he dies for balls. And he's come up clutch for them. So Tyler Hero, he's there. He can get you 20 points coming off the bench. So I think that's where, or should I say, that is where his value is. And you're going to see as the playoffs wane that they're going to need punches from Tyler Hero. They're going to need punches from a Victor Oladipo when they play a team like who we believe the 76ers the next round, or who I believe they'll play the Bucks in the Eastern Conference Finals. So I believe that Tyler Hero is going to come up, or is going to be key in terms of they're going to need to rely on him for that offense. So out of the other guys there, Cam Johnson, there are some games that he actually did miss too. Now don't get me wrong, Cam Johnson is nice now, but Kevin Love, no. So Tyler Hero, he had the best case out of those guys. So, all right.
Because honestly, if Chris Paul doesn't get hurt for so long,
I
actually think that campaign is the most important bench player for the Phoenix Suns. So for me, I don't even know why Cam Johnson's on this list outside of maybe campaign started too many games. So for him to be considered. But then I feel like that's the role of the sixth man, to be that when someone from the starters gets hurt, who can step in and play like a starter.
Right.
And so, but I digress. On to the next one.
On to the next one.
Do you want to do Coach of the Year, or do you want to do Most Improved before we do MVP?
Let's go with since we're on topic of players right now. Let's go with the Most Improved Player of the Year. That should be a nice one.
I do think this one's going to be. It's a little bit more. It's definitely a tight race because I do.
Yes.
I would agree with any of them.
Mm-hmm.
So we got Darius Garland, we got John Morant, and we got DeJounte Murray.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was first last time, so I'm gonna let you rock with this one.
Okay. So we had to pick from one of the finalists, right? This is tough. This is tough. I love them all. I think that DeJounte Murray, that's all right, Ralph. Sorry about that, man. I was on the show before, but DeJounte Murray, he is the most, I would say, underrated because he's a two-way player. John Morant put himself in the MVP conversation this year, but then I saw what his team was able to do without him winning. Yeah. And then you have Darius Garland. So pretty much I just used process of elimination. I'm actually going to go with Darius Garland. So I didn't go with Evan Mobley, the Rookie of the Year. I'm going to go with Darius Garland. You know why? Because he got his team, who had not been to the playoffs, into the playoffs. I know the San Antonio Spurs, they came up short, right? John Morant, he got his team to the playoffs this season. However, just and he made a leap. He made a leap in the MVP conversation. But Darius Garland, I feel like what his leap as a player still had a profound impact on the team, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? It's tough, though. It's tough. Like, I feel like it's like I'm not even 100% sure, like, he's the guy. Not saying that he's bad, but I'm saying, like, the award. You get what I'm saying? Like, I think you could go with any of these people, and there's people on this list that you could go with. So I'm going to go with Darius Garland. Probably when I sleep on it, or probably when Ja like balls out tonight or something like that, I'm probably gonna pick Ja. But I'm gonna go with Darius Garland, man. It's tough. It's a toss up for me, honestly. I think they're all worthy of the award. So
it is one of those things where I definitely can see, like I mentioned before in the intro for it, is that I could definitely see any one of them winning.
Yeah.
Because when you look at it, it's crazy when you think like, oh, well, Ja balled out last year.
Yeah.
Look at. He had an 8-point increase. He had a 2 rebound increase. He went down by half an assist, but when you go up by 8 points, that makes sense.
Yes.
Then he had 8 points PER go up.
Mm-hmm.
So then when you think about players, he was way more efficient than he was last year. Then when you start looking at, like, Darius Garland he was more efficient, but his was 5. DeJounte Murray was 6 points more efficient, but he had 6 more points, 4 more assists, and 1 more rebound. And he almost averaged a triple-double. So, obviously, if he's putting up those type of numbers and you go and you look at who else is on this roster that could even put up half of what it was like his improvement is gonna hold so much more weight with the rest of the team.
Right.
Where I do think that, like this season, when it came down to it, Darius Garland was the focal point of his offense.
Yeah.
Ja Morant, focal point of his offense, and DeJounte Murray. So then when you start going through the list and looking at certain players, it's like, all right, well, Ja got hurt. What did they do? Then when it comes to Darius Garland, I feel like a lot of his leap came when he was balling, but he went crazy once Colin Sexton is no longer there.
Right.
So then it's like, no matter who was there, DeJounte Murray was always balling. So for me, based on the all-around game of being a two-way player, and we talked about DeJounte Murray taking that leap once Kawhi left, and then he tore his ACL. So for him to be able to come back and win this award and ball out the way that he did, I think he did make the All-Star team too with injuries.
Yeah.
So for me, I have DeJounte Murray as
most improved
player.
Okay. And I like him. I really like him. He's gonna get paid this offseason.
Oh, whew.
No. Get your money. Hey, you mean Jalen Brunson's? Hey, you mean your boy Jalen Brunson's not most improved? No, let me stop, man.
If there was no Luka, he probably would. Honestly.
Oh man.
And then we're gonna do Coach of the Year.
Yes.
Before we get to the MVPs, the meat and potatoes, but
yeah,
we got Monty Williams, Eric Spoelstra, and Taylor Jenkins. Monty Williams, coach of the Phoenix Suns. Eric Spoelstra, coach of the Miami Heat. Taylor Jenkins, coach of the Memphis Grizzlies. And I think, wait.
Yeah, you set it off on this one.
Yeah. So for me, honestly, because of injuries, dang, all three of them dealt with injuries, honestly. So that kind of debunks my theory. But with Eric Spoelstra, I'm not really going to give him this one because he has a veteran-led team. And at a certain point, with injuries, it's kind of like, I know you got to coach. You still got to coach them up, but they coach themselves up. Where it's like once a veteran gets hurt, next man up type thing. So for me, I'm going to give it more to – I would go more Monty Williams or Taylor Jenkins. That one is a tough one. I think it's even more tough than the last one because Chris Paul was out for some time. Ayton was out for some time. Devin Booker was out for some time. So when your three stars are out for a long period of time, and then you still was able to hold down. They were no less than 2 for a long period of time.
Right.
Once Chris Paul got hurt, they went up to 1.
Right.
And so it's crazy to sit here because they had the best record in the West, in the league, with that many injuries. But at the same time, I want to give it to Taylor Jenkins because Ja got hurt for some time. Dylan Brooks was out for some time. And Jaren Jackson was able to stay healthy for a majority of the season. So with those moving pieces and you missing someone who Ja Morant, they were at one point in the season, people was arguing about him being the MVP. Or did he work his way into the MVP vote? So to have someone miss that many games, I think Ja Morant played 57 games out of 82. And you still had a 56 and 26 record, number 2 in the West, and I believe that was number 2 in the whole league. So were the Heat number 1 in the East, but they were only 53 and 29. So for you to have that many injuries, have a much younger team with not as much experience as the Suns are coming off of. Everybody on that team is coming off of a finals appearance.
Right.
And then even the pieces that weren't there have finals experience.
Yeah.
So like, I'm going to go Taylor Jenkins for Coach of the Year. But I wouldn't be upset with either one of them, specifically Monty Williams.
Okay. So, my actual coach of the year and who I had to pick from the list are different. My actual coach of the year, his name starts with the letter T as well. And actually, I would say he would, with all due respect, I would have actually had him as a runaway coach of the year. And that's Ty Lue. And it has nothing to do with the fact that my favorite player plays for the organization, but it does have something to do with the fact that my favorite player plays for the organization who wasn't playing this season. And that's Kawhi Leonard and PG. And Ty Lue, obviously he's not here, but I'm going to pick someone from the list. But I picked Ty Lue because to be in that conference and you have no Kawhi at all this season, you have PG tears his UCL bone, right? And his shooting arm, and he's out. And we talked in our show prior to the season how we thought they could be a 6 seed, maybe even steal a 4 seed with PG playing at an MVP level. His nickname MVP. He was playing at that level early in the season, but he kind of got overshadowed by some guys like the KDs, the Giannis's, the Jokic's of the world, and Embiid's. But he was in that top 5 combo. He was even a leading scorer early in the season. So for you to lose Paul George, a top 10 to 15 player, probably like top 15 now, but you could say top 10 if you're basing off of his playoff experience that some of these guys who are on the rise have not yet necessarily accomplished at that level. And then Kawhi Leonard, who I've always said is a top 3 player, will probably slip when he comes back due to injury and stuff like that. But a guy who a lot of people in this league still to this day, probably about 85% have never accomplished what he's already accomplished. One of the 75 greatest players of the year, 75 greatest players of all time list, right? For you to lose both those players and you make the playoffs of Reggie Jackson, Marcus Morris, Luke Kennard got hurt. So, some dude named Harrenstein and freaking who else? Oh, and you trade Ibaka? They traded Ibaka before half the season. Not even so like a quarter of the season, they already traded him. So I'm sitting up here, I'm like, wait a second. They really didn't have much but role players. So, like, for me, had Paul George not tested positive for COVID, they're probably playing the Phoenix Suns in the first round. So I just think that he should have been a finalist, at least a finalist.
That's the reason why, like as much as all 3 of these coaches are very deserving, I probably would have taken Spoelstra or Monty Williams off.
Okay.
Because I do think that Taylor Jenkins deserves to be on this list more than any one of the 3. I would probably end up going more where Spoelstra should fall off and add Ty Lue.
Yeah.
Because Chris Paul missed so many games.
Yeah.
Booker missed games. DeAndre Ayton even missed games. So, like, as many injuries as the Heat have had, you pretty much had the bulk of your team for majority of the season outside of Bam.
Okay.
But then when you get Bam back, he clearly makes a difference.
Right.
So,
but out of the finalists that I'm going to pick, I'm actually going to go the other way. I'm going to give it to Monty because I feel like Monty probably should have got it last year, even though that's probably a horrible way of thinking it. Probably should have got it last year. But if we're talking about just strictly this year, I like what you said about the injuries. To win that many games in spite of injuries, with Chris Paul being an extension of the coach, you can see he's an extension of the coach. They have a chemistry dating back to the days in New Orleans. So you're like, well, maybe there'd be slippage, but there was no slippage, right? They continued to win games. Cam Johnson, another guy we did not mention, when they played the Bucks the second time in Milwaukee, right? And that was a game that either went to overtime or came down to the wire in the fourth quarter. They lost that game, but they played them close. They beat the Bucks early in the season because they were coming out for revenge. But that told me from a coaching perspective, right, that Monty Williams, the hardest thing for you to do, Ralph, and we can attest to this and all that kind of stuff, because franchises that we've liked in the past, or maybe I know you currently like as a member of the Bulls, expectation is the hardest thing to do. They've already been to the finals, so to reduplicate that type of success, there's a monkey on your back. And now you're the team that everyone is shooting for in the Western Conference. So for him to keep his guys galvanized, we hear him mic'd up, we've seen him behind the scenes. I think that Monty Williams is an ultimate players coach who does a really good job. So I just don't want to see him, I feel like, eventually robbed of one of these awards, because he's been in the running for 2 years in a row. So he might be in the running a third year in a row. And so eventually I think he deserves one. So I know we spent probably 10 minutes on that topic, but I'm going to go the other way. And I say, out of these guys, I'll give it to Monty based off of expectation and for him to be able to keep that level of success. So,
yeah, I can definitely see it happening, man. It's crazy because then when I'm going back and looking, Devin Booker missed 14 games.
Yeah.
Paul missed 17 games. And then DeAndre Ayton missed 24 games.
Ayton's another one, yeah.
Ayton missed 24 games.
Yeah.
So when your big three are missing like 20 games, it's like, dang, like what are you're really coaching them up over there.
And they're beating premier teams this year too.
Big facts. While those players was hurt.
Yeah.
And so to wrap it up, the most important one.
Controversy, blasphemy.
We got Joel and the process Embiid.
Ooh.
Nikola.
The Joker.
Jokic. We got Giannis, the Greek freak.
The Greek freak. So do I set this one off?
I think I started the last one, so go ahead, G.
You're going to put me on the spot for the MVP, the most valuable player of the year. All right, so first I want to preface my comments, Ralph, where the NBA playoffs should have no bearing on who wins the MVP award. Yes, Jokic is getting worked by the Warriors, but then you look around and Aaron Gordon can't hit a jump shot. He's a defender. Him shooting threes is horrible. Austin Rivers, he hasn't been nice since Winter Park, Florida. Let's see. In the stream, man. No.
You're not lying.
I know, but man, look, man, or that shot since Duke, bro. When he hit that shot versus Duke, he was like Jordan when he stood on top of the whatever. But anyway, during their 5th championship or 6th championship. Where's Carolina, man? That's the highlight of his career. Man, I'm looking at it. I'm like, bro, man, they have no offense. They got my boy Will the Thrill, shout out from Baltimore, hometown, Will the Thrill Barton. But then Joel Embiid, he led the league in scoring. He played without James Harden. Without Jumbo Rondo, a.k.a. Ben Simmons. Then I'm like looking at Giannis Antetokounmpo. He's like, I don't want the MVP. I want the chip. I'm like, all right, my brother, I'm cool with that. But then he's been functioning as a playmaker. He's been functioning as a defender, a scorer. He's come up clutch. He's now 5-0 versus KD. He's hitting his free throws. But you know what? It actually made me think Giannis probably should have. You're gonna probably laugh at this, but it's probably true. You might even agree with me. He might not win. He's not gonna win the award because he's not a finalist. But every single year, he might as well be a finalist for most improved player, award that he already won because he's always improving. You can make that case. So because he would probably be a finalist, Ralph, in the most improved player award, I'm going to give my NBA MVP to you know who? You ready for it? Embiid. I shocked you, didn't I? Embiid.
Oh, snap. I definitely go Joker, bro.
After all this talk about, when look, Embiid played in a tougher conference, right? Now, they did split the Giannis because Giannis and the Bucks, they got him that near the end of the season, but he did play him very well the first time around. I'm not sure if they got the Nuggets, but pretty much he's been able to dominate the bigs of the season, leading the league in scoring, playing without Ben Simmons, right? He's been a model of consistency, and defensively, I like what he's doing defensively over what Jokic, the numbers tell me.
Yeah.
Because, and then I'll let you go for the rest of the show. Look, I'm tired of people using these analytics stuff, and analytics can be used as a tool. And not looking at the eye test, right? Because Jokic has the eye test too. But with defense, don't give me some mumbo jumbo metric defensive numbers, because I can tell you that defense tells you that freaking Derrick Rose or Rondo, the ratings, they're better than Scottie Pippen. And we know that's false.
Right.
So Embiid, I'm seeing him swat people. I'm seeing him take fools off the dribble. I'm seeing him yam on people. I'm seeing him talk crap to people. Like, he's doing it all. Now, the only knock I have on Embiid was versus the Nets. But I blamed it on Harden. He didn't set Embiid up.
Yeah, right.
And it's Kade and Kyrie. They came for blood.
True.
But all season long, Embiid's been destroying front lines as well. And I think that I gotta go Embiid, man. I'm going Embiid. So, sorry, Jokic.
And if you've been following the show this whole year, for him to agree with me, I was not. I was coming in expecting to hit him with some cold, hard facts.
Yeah. He's like, bro, I had a whole list laid out.
And so I'm like,
nah, man, I can't, man.
Yeah,
they're not even triple teaming Jokic in the playoffs right now, bro. I know I shouldn't think about the playoffs, but they guard him straight up.
Right. They're guarding you straight up, and they're double teaming Giannis. I mean, not Giannis, but Joel.
Embiid.
Yeah. So
it's Embiid.
But Embiid to win the scoring title, he averages a block and a half. So we're gonna make it 2 blocks.
Yeah, thank you. There we go.
As well as a steal.
Ooh, like Olajuwon. Okay.
And 1 steal a game. He's not the passer that Joker is. But at the same time, they put the ball in his hand for him to get assists. Where Joel is just getting assists off double teams. So for him to have 4 assists a game and 12 rebounds, which puts him 2 rebounds underneath Joker, and he shot 37% from 3. And he shot a better percentage from the free throw line, and we know he's getting to the free throw line at twice the clip that Jokic is.
Right.
Me personally, and the effect that he had on the team, where they both dealt with injuries, or what you could say, someone didn't want another star not being there.
Yeah.
Up until a certain point, where I think that we both can agree that the East is deeper. So
it's deeper.
So for him to get his team to, what are they, the 4th in the East, but they're literally 2 through 4 is tied with the same record.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give it to Embiid. I've been saying the same thing all season. When I look, the eye test tells me that Embiid is just playing better. From beginning to end, he was able to stay in relatively healthy. With 68 games, Joker played 6 more games. He played more games than Giannis. So I don't want to hear nobody talking about, he's always getting hurt.
Right.
On top of that, his player efficiency rating, he has a 31.2 player efficiency rating.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. And so it's one of those things where it's close enough when it comes to you start talking about player efficiency rating that the eye test.
Yeah, you got to go with eye test.
And then when you go eye test, Joel Embiid is that dude.
Yeah.
That's why he's the MVP.
And I also think – go ahead.
Go ahead, G.
And I also think to kind of strengthen the case, and it's not – I don't want to call this an indictment because I want people to understand what I mean by coasting, right? Guys like Giannis, because obviously, I believe he's in your division, right? So you see him. You already know about him. He's kind of implemented this and MJ, I would never say accuse him of coasting, but it's called coasting. It's not necessarily taking games seriously, but it's you elevate your level to the once you've won, it's like, okay, and you know how to win, right? Once you get to the playoffs, okay, now I'm taking it up to another notch. And so Giannis has pretty much done that this season, right? So like, he had the knee, right? He was recovering from the knee injury. Freaking Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday. Cause I'm like, something happened over the offseason. He recovered from the knee injury. He's like, I got to get healthy, et cetera, blah, blah, blah. And then you had his teammates coming back from the Olympics. So they started off, and we mentioned this on one of our shows, they were going to start off slow. Because remember, they were like in the 11th seed. And I was like, watch, they're going to be a top 5 seed at the end of the year. And lo and behold, they could have been the 1 seed if they wanted to. But Giannis missed a couple of games. They did have the game where Budenholzer rested all his starters, and so he's coasting. And so Embiid never coasted. You know what I'm saying? But even if Giannis didn't coast, not necessarily saying that Embiid wouldn't be worthy of the award. I'm just saying that I'm going to award someone who didn't coast through the regular season for that award. Whereas now they're both playing well in the playoffs, but you have to give credence to the guy who didn't coast. You know what I'm saying? So then it comes down to Embiid and Jokic, and the eye test tells me Joel Embiid in a stronger conference, to your point.
Right.
So, yeah.
But, hey.
All right.
That wraps up our show.
No, LeBron's not the MVP, Laker fans.
No. No, the playoffs is not missing LeBron.
I know, man. All them tweets, bro. Hey, you see he's in all the commercials now, though, bro. He's trying to be in the commercials. Every NBA break.
Nobody's trying to hear none of that. LeBron, go sit down. We don't care. Your team sucked. And it was a team you picked. Talking about something. I don't make any decisions on the roster.
No decisions. Hey,
funny.
Hey, I saw that tweet though he put out when the Pelicans were it was the Pelicans that were playing the Clippers. He's like, Ty Lue, best coach in the league. Argue with your kids, not me. When they were winning, and then they lost by like how many points? I was like, dang, bro, LeBron, your tweets is just taking L's.
I mean, you're right though.
I know he's right, but I'm just saying, in the moment, it was like, dang, bro, you didn't help yourself.
It's them being in that position at all.
Yeah.
Did a heck of a job.
Right, because I got him as the coach of the year, but whatever. You know. It's LeBron, though.
I agree with you on that one, but it was fun. Thank you all for watching. Make sure you subscribe on our Facebook, YouTube, the He Say She Say all one word channel. Make sure you go subscribe and follow, and all of that stuff on my individual pages at KYNGRALPH. That is the name for TikTok, Twitch, and Instagram. And then go and like our Instagram page for the show at J.U.K. Sports Show.
All right. And you can follow me at the.house of hoops. Once again, NBA player highlights, analysis, team analysis. We got the playoffs, guys. Enjoy. Stay safe out there, and stay hydrated too. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. All right.
Stay cool out there.
Stay cool.